Good. Oops, let's just sort out the rest of this whilst we see who joins us this evening. Let's just turn the noise off on there so we don't end up with that upsetting the apple cart. Eeny, meeny. Oh, goody, goody. I like it when the system is working. There we are. We'll just share stuff around because that's always helpful. Boom. Pop that there. Pop that there. Hopefully between StreamYard and my phone, I shall then be able to see what's going on. Hello, Crafty Jacks. Welcome, darling. Could you just confirm, oh, she says, Mickey, that you can see and hear me without any problems, my darling, because I have all my systems switched off so that we don't have too much noise. Good evening, Sheila. Welcome, my darling. Thank you for joining us this evening. Hi, Elizabeth. Welcome, welcome. Welcome, welcome, welcome. That's the one we're going to need to start with. That's always helpful. And then we might do a little bit of popping stuff around. Thank you, Connie. Much appreciated, my darling. Thank you so much. So, hello, Paulette. Welcome. I trust that it's not too silly an hour in the US, somewhere between 12 and 1 o'clock, unless you're in the Pacific coast when it might be a more difficult hour of the morning, shall we say. So this is sort of approximately where we're going today. There we are. Let's just shuffle that over there a little bit. Hello, Catalin. Welcome, my darling. And let's move that stencil out the way, but hopefully not somewhere where I will forget where I've put it. And let's just shuffle that lot out the way. And then let's just heat that label. So this is just a wooden border with a beveled edge, and for any size board that you want. This one happens to be 30 centimeters in this direction and 22 centimeters in this direction. And I'm literally just heating up the label because that will soften the glue, and hopefully then it will come off more easily than it might otherwise do so. Yeah, and I've done a little bit, you see, that just makes life really simple, doesn't it, by doing that. So let's just hang that up over there where we can get it comfortably. And I haven't primed this evening, so we're going to be well behaved and we're going to do that. So to prime the board, and I always recommend priming unless you're going to be using the wood stains, then you don't need to prime using the appropriate primer. This is wood, it's a porous surface. I'm adding acrylic paints on the top of it, so acrylic primer is the most suitable medium for doing that. And for speed and to avoid brush marks, I am literally just going to take a sponge dauber and add there around, and it will just smooth easily enough. And actually, I think you probably use less paint by using a dauber for priming, and it definitely is a good trick for avoiding brush marks. And you can use the same for your painting as well. Hello, Judith. Welcome. Good evening, Faith. Thank you. How is the beautiful Scotland this evening? I hope that it's not too yucky. Let's just pop these over here. So are we going to do a whole project from scratch? Yeah, well, pretty much. And the only things I have already primed are my resin houses. Thankfully, the mould, which was as popular as I thought it was going to be, is being remade by Stamperia, and so the shops can reorder it, though you might have to hunt around for someone who has restocked, because I know that it has sold out, as have just about all of the house moulds that Stamperia have ever made. white, which is an interesting concept. So there we are. Let's just make sure we've got a reasonable there. So this board is reasonably thick, so let's just clear that. But you can see that by using the doorbell, I've got very few marks on here. Good evening, Sarah. Welcome. So that can go in there. We'll lid that so that we don't make a mess. Okay, so we've had intermittent rain, but it's not been terrible. It's been a bit dull, and for the first time in ages, I've actually had to put my light on in my conservatory this evening because I thought it was too dark. So let me just give this a wee dry before I add my layer of paint, because if you don't, then it's clearly going to mix in with the white, and whilst that wouldn't be disastrous, it sort of defeats the purpose of priming in the first place. Yeah, so let's just do this. We're going to keep this mate relatively simple tonight, though it might be a labour of love because of the numbers of houses. And I have just about cast everything in the single, by the tiniest elements of the mould with the houses from the winter collections from the lovely Stamperia. So let me just get this dry, properly dry. We're not doing any really fancy techniques tonight because I don't think we need to. I've recently redecorated my house and I thought it would be nice to have a new welcome home sign to my hall. It feels slightly damp, but it's when I put my hand on it, but it's not overtly wet. It is because it's thicker, so let's just give this a proper dry. So that's reasonably dry on there. Okay. So there we are. That should, with a bit of luck, be dry enough for the next step. So I'm going with soft tones, cool colours, because they are my favourite, and I have got a selection of acrylic paints at mattes, and this one is vintage blue, because this is the background for the piece. She's dropping her brush on the floor. There we are. So let's just take some of this vintage blue, pop it in there. I might give that a little bit of a thin down with a spritz of water, because I can see that it is reasonably thick at the moment. Let's just mix that water in to there. There we are. Hope that will be enough. There we are. And let's revert to the same technique then, shall we? Because it seemed to work quite well. So we're just going to then give this a good cover. I can always add some more water paint. Now, the only headache I think with using the foam doorbells for painting, particularly if you have a rough surface, and the edges of these are rough, need a good little bit of a sand, is that sometimes you end up taking off pieces of your doorbell, particularly when you work it in quite hard. So there we are. We'll just do that, and of course we're going to need some more paint in there. So why wouldn't we? Why wouldn't we? Hi Beverly, welcome my darling. Let's just put some, yes, really well. I quite like it when I get to the point where I might be getting towards the end of a pot of paint. Let me get rid of that lump. There we are, that's better. I'm still doing happy dances as I try to clear the space. Let's mix that water in. It's just that it's been open on my conservatory through the summer at some point. So the water has evaporated off, and so I'm left with a thicker area than I might otherwise need. There we are. Has Sophie joined us this evening? That's been lovely. I know she's ticked that she's going to a couple of other events, and there's at least the usual evening of activity on Facebook with lots of people, lots of events for lots of people. So let's just get that, work that into all of those little nooks of it is a lovely, lovely shade of blue. So we're going to, we're not adding any crackle to anything tonight. I hear you say, what's gone on there? I just didn't feel that I wanted it for this particular make. So we've pared it right back, and hopefully we can show that actually you don't need to have every product under the sun to make something that's effective. It's worth having a few selected ones that you will use time and time and time again, but you don't need to have every product known to man to still be able to make a lovely piece. And as ever, it's drying slightly darker than the pale pink. So you can see actually by using the Dauber, I've really not used masses, and I've got pretty good coverage. So let's just give that a little blitz dry. Or do we need to give that a little bit dry? Actually, we don't need to give that a little bit dry. We can just stick that on the floor. Excuse the noise, ladies. Let's just give this a little wipe. Let's pop that into there. We can always give it another coat if we need to, but I'm rather hoping we won't need to. There we are. And let's get the mess tidied up. Because otherwise it becomes distracting. Wish you'd known what before? That I wasn't going to use any crackle. I used 2 last week. Right, now then. There is a logic to my madness here. Does that sort of got a clock there? I think I want that clock nearer the middle. That will work. That will work. Let's tuck that there. Let's tuck that into there. Right. And the only reason I'm doing that, not using every product, well, you know, I say that you don't need every product on the market, but you should all know by now I do have every product on the market, you know. Right. So I'm going to paint. We're going to paint the roofs, and I have chosen vintage brown and terracotta. Now let's just get that in there, and let's pick up another one of those, and let's just pop these out so we can do these one at a time. Probably won't need, you see how, well, you can't see, look, see how thick my paint has gone, and that is purely that I've had it open in the atmosphere. I'll add some of that on a hot summer's day, and as we all know, I work in a conservatory. Cookies and muffins. Well, I've had a very large red velvet cake today, and this is terracotta. Oh, good grief. Well, that's almost like glue. However, might be having to throw that pot. Let's see if we can resurrect that. Stick a good amount of water into there and a good amount of water into there, and we'll just leave that to soak in a little bit. That can go in there. We'll not be needing more of that. There we are. Good. Now then, let's find a reasonable size brush. So we're going to take, let's just mix that in. So this is the vintage brown. It's a soft grey brown. There we are. Let's just mix that water in so that it's not going to be too bad. And then we're going to mix it up. I've deliberately chosen to lay my resin pieces out so that we've got a mixture of the different sized pieces as we go down the make. There we are. And we will be adding some distressing effects so that, you know, we'll not have such perfect painting and we'll not worry too greatly. So let's just take that out of there. There we are. So my resin pieces have been primed as per my normal activities with bonding primer, because let's just do these bricks. Start with the most difficult one, why not? There we are. By the time we've got all of the layers on, it won't be so bad. And we're going to do these in a selection of different colours. Alright, so that is a little lamp tucked there. We're not going to paint every detail in separately, because life, quite frankly, is too short. So we'll just paint that lamp in that colour, and we'll add the details in long term. There we are. We're going to add some different paints and different colours onto these, and that's also just cool, because that will help bring out the details, which are always a little bit more of a challenge when you need to be relatively quick on a live. But yeah, it's just, as we all know. Right, so let's have that one in that colour, and then let's have this one in the brown. There we are. Might have the whole of that roof in that colour. It's going to just be easier, because why not make your life easy? And then let's just do this one. So I didn't want it to be all alternating colours, if that makes sense. I wanted to be able to mix it up, and by painting them in this way, I can, with a bit of luck, not have it looking too repetitive. Well, that's the famous last words anyway. Let's go with that one. There's lots of detail on these, but I will use one of my antiquing gels to pull the colours back in, and it's just going to allow me to have that to dry. There we are. Let's just pop some of that into there. So we're going to use a relatively limited range of colours. There we are. For our makes. Grey, grey. Grey, grey. Let's just do you. I think you're going to look nice in that. So let's just do that. Went to hunt out grey paints, and I really don't have very many grey paints. Can't be a colour that I utilise very often. I do have the decor paint soft in off-white. What do I want? I'm going to have brown on the top of there to balance this piece. So as I say, this range of all of these pretty much came from one mold and one casting from one mold, from the mold. And I know that it had initially sold out, but Stamperia have decided in their infinite wisdom that they will be redoing. Yep. Absolutely. But Lynette is on Pretty Gets Gritty tonight as well at 7 o'clock. Okay, so something's gone on there with my computer. That'll be my phone. So that's that paint that was very, very thick. So let's just beat it into submission. This is the terracotta paint. You can see how thick it is, but we will bit by bit just rework it, take some of that liquid and reconstitute it, minus lumps. Don't need masses of it. And this is what happens. So you just need to make sure you look after your products. Give them spritzes with water if they need to. It's water that will have generally have evaporated. And don't buy in huge quantities, the huge great big pots if you're not going to use lots of it. These are the 50ml pots, and some Pentacolor do have most of these colours in 20ml pots too. So yeah, the 20ml pots might be more expensive per mil, but actually if you're not going to use them all, then actually they're quite cost effective. So let's just add that. Onto here. So we're just going to add some different colours. We might end up needing to do a little bit of tweaking, but hey ho, that'll be life. There we are. But as we all know, by the time I've generally added antiquing gels to my projects, actually it's less of a problem. I think there might be just a little bit there that needs to be added. There we are. So that one can be like that. That can be like that. This one we'll just pick up some more of that brown. We can add back in detail quite comfortably with antiquing gels and an extra colour. So there we are. I don't really wish to be here at 10 o'clock tonight, but there we are. Let's just add in a little bit of brown onto there. There we are. We might use some of those for... So essentially, I think there are big and small versions of some of the house tops. There we are. Get rid of that lump. Okay. Now I could spend forever and a month of Sundays painting in each of these windows separately, but sometimes life is too short to do that. So let's just give that a little wash. Let me give that a handle. Yeah, B is definitely tonight, Thursday night, darling. But Lynette is live tonight. So let's just give them a little blast, and we'll grab a clean before we move over to the next bit of these. gives these a good waft. Combination of more paints, antiquing gels and some waxes will definitely have these looking very different. Overall, but it's going to be easier for me picking these up. If I haven't got the tops of the roof still wet. Yeah. Good evening, Isabel. Right, excellent. Oh, she says, dropping all sorts of stuff around the floor. So, for the houses, we have acrylic paint matte in Nimbus. Half a dozen of these later. So this is definitely a very, very soft green. It's a beautiful colour. Green, though it definitely is. Let's just wipe that so we don't contaminate our pots. We have country green. So Nimbus country green. And I've chosen these because I think that they will all work quite nicely with the background. And then we have country blue. So they're all tonally sort of on the same pathway, if that makes sense. There we are. So let's just pop those over there. They're all better looked after paint, so that's cool. Let's put that one over there. So let us just let's do this one in that Nimbus. So it's a soft colour. I can always come back in and retouch that brown. I'm not going to get too faffed if I mix it up, but it looks like I'm going to need to retouch some of that brown, and that's also just fine. I don't have a problem with that. There we are. Might have been better if I had chosen to do the bigger area on this house first rather than starting with the browns, but hey ho, we've got a little bit of bleed there from that brown that is wet, but that's okay. I don't have a problem with that. It's going to help, and we can add some colours onto here. As I say, it's up to, you could make painting these houses as complicated or not as you choose, really. Some of them have a reasonable amount of detail, and some of them probably easier than others to paint, but there we are. So let's just tidy up some of that. Yeah, I'm happy with that. So let's just find another small brush. There we are. Let's pick up some more of that. Let's just make sure we're on air, and then we can come back in here and just neaten up that edge. So that the brickwork is more crisp. That's when a small brush definitely makes a difference. There we are. But it will be worth it. Let's just turn that around. And we'll get rid of some of those edges. Let's just take the excess off that brush. And we could probably do it giving that a little bit of a dry, but again, I'm not overly worried about mixing the colours because we're going to antique it anyway. There we are. Make sure we don't need to add anywhere else. And of course, we can always come back. So let's just pop that over there. So that's that one. Let's just give that brush a little bit of a wiggle into there. So that's that one. So let's go country green. Into here. Because I think the thing is with like when you're painting moulds, it's to be kind to yourself. And you're not worried. You can, by all means, spend an awful lot longer. But and if you've got plenty of time in the world, then taking longer is just cool, isn't it? But sometimes you are definitely better off just having a paint technique that you know works for you and that makes your life easy. We might change the door colours. On the other hand, we might not. We might not. There we are. We might now need to pick up. I'm going to actually pop that over there to dry a little bit more before I come back in and touch that up. So let's just go with, let's just paint the centre of this piece with that country blue. It's clearly demarcated as an area with a separating line, so that's okay. We can do that. And let's pick the inside of that clock and possibly the outside of it with that. And we've got another layer here. So let's just paint this piece. So you can pick out as little or as much detail. So that can sit there to dry, and I will come back to that. And let's see what we want to do. So this house we're going to keep very simple. We're just going to paint it all blue. And this is going to just allow that other one that I've only painted part of it. It's all been primary bonding primer, so I can do what I want with it. But this is just going to allow me to that piece to dry a little bit. And means I'm not moving between the different paint colours in quite such the same way. There we are. So that can go there and that can go there. So let's just have a little wriggle of that brush in a pot of water and give that a good clean. Hello, Natasha. Welcome, my darling. Welcome, welcome. So I think we're going to go for the nimbus and we're going to make our life simple. We've already got two tones for the top. We can add a different door colour if we want to. Oops, that wasn't the colour I wanted. So let's just have a combination of nimbus and country blue, country green even. Why not? Why not? Why not? Oh, she says, dropping her pieces on the floor and then putting colour where she doesn't want it because she's got yucky, sticky, mucky messes. There we are. So let's just sort that out, because I know I can cross-contaminated that, because I've got wet, mucky, sticky mucky hands. There we are. Okay. Right. Let's go with the country green, I think, for this one. There we are. We're going to need to pick up some of that brown again. I can see areas where we missed, but that's okay. Let's give this one a green door, and then let's pick up that dark brown. Finish that piece there. Finish that piece onto there. Finish that there. There we are. And let's go Nimbus. There we are. Onto there. Maybe I should have done some of these before I came live, but yeah, it's not. Wouldn't be the same, would it, if we did it all the same? There we are. So that's a combination, self-mixed mix, but that's okay. Let's go with the country blue for this piece. There we are. Let's also take the country blue and do this. Don't let me forget to do the clock. Yeah. Yeah. So hopefully you could have these as an absolute beautiful rainbow of colours. It wouldn't work with the whole tonality of my house, but a veritable rainbow would look rather good. And I'm thinking, let's pick up that for the country green. So we've got see that they're not, there's a lot of detail in these. Good evening, Blanche. Welcome, my darling. Welcome, welcome. We're not going for complicated Uber painting. There we are. Okie dokie. Let's give that a blast. I just want to add some more paint. Ugh, where did I pick that up from? Into there. But if I try and paint into this one at the moment, we're going to have a mess. And then we might need to do a little bit of extra layering anyway. An extra bit for tidying up. So let's just give these a little bit of that. Hello, Elizabeth. Welcome, my darling. Good evening, Anya. How are you? And then we'll have a little bit, we will be doing a little bit of a tidy up with some of these. We'll definitely need to get them dry, but that's okay. So far tonight, we haven't had anywhere near the amount of drying we had the other night, have we? There we are. We're definitely going to need to do some touch-up painting. You can see that it's all a little bit uneven at the moment, but that's fine. Don't have a problem with that, because we can always add a second layer. So let's just pop that up there too, and let's get our second layer onto there. And there we are. Let's just add some of this onto here, and we can come back and neaten some of these colours up, as we're going to need to, and that's also just fine. Some of it won't matter by the time we've got a wee bit of distressing onto them anyway, but some of it would definitely be better. Looking more finished. They could be weathered houses, I suppose. That would also work, I guess, to be fair. There we are. Okay, so let's just pop that into there, and let's give that brush a jolly good wash. You can still see I'm going to need to give this a bit of a blast, so just bear with. And the headache for me is going to be having to remember exactly which colours I used for which ones. Let's just pick a nicer brush. Okay, so let's just pick some of this. To re-tidy up that. Okay. She says having got brown into there, but that's okay. So let's just add some extra stuff in here. A little bit of texture won't matter. So this is the Nimbus. There we are. Easy enough to add. Right. So let's go with the Country Green. As we can see, we can actively see that we've got unevenness here from that first layer that I just basically shoved down quickly to give myself a base layer to work with. But that's okay, and it probably even doesn't look too terrible on camera, but I can definitely see the different colours. I'm going to pop some white antiquing into some of that, so some of that change won't matter. And let's just add onto there. Let's just blend out that edge. There we are. We'll add the terracotta into the bricks. It will definitely look better for having just a little bit of love and attention paid at this point. So I've got a white line then. Mind you, having said that, by the time I've put the antiquing gel in, it probably isn't going to show too much, but there we are. There we are. That's definitely better. So that, I'm going to leave that one because I've just painted that, but we're going to add some of the nimbus back into here. Oops, she says, got a thick layer of paint there, and then we'll tidy up. Get rid of the lumps, take out the worst of that. Add that onto the bottom. Okie dokie. So we'll add the brown back in, just even up that roof line and get rid of the blue that I've managed to add into there. So let's tidy up that roof line. There we go. I can see that I've got extra colour I need to pop into there, so let's just do it whilst the going is good. Let's just take up some of that country blue and just come back into here, thicken that area up, tidy up the inside of the clock. And that roof piece. Excellent. There we are. It's nothing like having to paint everything over everything twice, but actually you just have to go with it. There we are. And sometimes you are definitely better off adding 2 thin coats rather than lots of thick ones. So those are now looking infinitely better. Right, so that is the country green. So let's just take up some, not the brown, which was on there. Let's just pick up the country green. Make sure you, this mould has definitely got lots of nooks and crannies, just for getting your brushes into. It's nothing like adding to it. There we are. Yeah, unfortunately it happens, Sarah. It's very sad, isn't it? So let's just add this onto here. Add another layer into here. We're going to need to give these a jolly good dry before we can do the next bits, but that's okay. Because I would rather have a piece that I'm happy with at the end of the day. There we are. That piece will work. Let's wipe this off. That's country green. So let's just now pick up and come across there. All reasonably done. Let's just get rid of that. And the rain has started. Hey, hey. Sorry if it's got noisy. It's just what happens, isn't it, when we have as we get into autumn. Right, excellent. So let's just pop those brushes out of harm's way. Pop that up there. That can be tidied up. Some of that paint can go back in the pot. And let's just give my icky, sticky, mucky hands a bit of a wipe. Hello, Janie. I haven't seen you watching my lives before, so welcome. It's much appreciated. I didn't do my normal housekeeping, so while I'm cleaning my mucky mitts, if the red live but square is present when you're watching me live. If it's not, you're watching me on replay. If you're watching on replay, thank you for getting to this stage in the process. Please just leave me a little hashtag replay so that I'm aware that you are watching, as I see all of the notifications from Pentart. So that makes my life much easier. And what did I forget to paint, ladies? What did I forget to paint? That will be the clock. So let's just give this a little layer. Let's just make life simple. Why not? Why not just make life simple? There we are. Cool. So there we are. We might need to add a little bit more paint into that. It's quite watered down because the brush was wet. There we are. Good evening, Joan. Welcome. Welcome, welcome. And we can tackle some of that with some wax later on. So let's just give these all a bit of a glass dry. Let's pop that out of the way. Let's go over that. Go over there. Let's just pop those over there. We are going to do a bit of stenciling in a minute, so never my forte, is it? We all know that we end up with struggling with the stenciling, but hey ho, always up for a challenge, although it is. So let's just give these a moderate glass dry, add some stenciling, and we can then add some antiquing and some waxing. We'll end up coming back to these, dry them anyway, because it's when you're adding the antiquing gels and rubbing things back, you really do need to have things that are properly dry, not just surface dry. And what's happening is I can see the shine going out of the pieces, and then as I remove my heat gun and take it elsewhere, the shine is coming back. So that's the water coming from underneath back through. So I just need, it might take a few days of coming back and forth across these to get it properly, dry enough to do that. Oh, yay! Joyous. Joyful. Or not, as the case may be. So these are going to look slightly weathered, but that's okay. I'll live with that. Right, so I'm going to let those cool down a bit. Over there. That can go over there. Oh, and hopefully, there we are. Our board is dry. So, I have a stencil. And let's hope I've got some nice stick away. Stick and spray. Stick and spray is what I want. So this is just a stencil glue, ladies. There's nothing clever about it. And I can line that up so I can see through there. That's approximately even. So let's pop that down there. I don't want that bit. So excuse the mucky stencil tape, but that can cover over that. And do I want the hearts? Answer no. So let's just I am going to pop that bit on the side. There we are. Let's just cover that. I should be far enough away from that and that. There we are. Don't need those. Don't need those. That will help that down. That will keep that down. It is. It's from a well-known river shop. So nothing very complicated or difficult about that, fortunately. Now then, oh, there it is. Okay. So I am going to pick up some of the nimbus. And we're just going to come across the top of that. And I definitely find the cut and use really helpful, because I'm heavy-handed with my paint, and this definitely will help stop me having to anything. And the other thing is I've got my stencil way well anchored down. And then let's just add the country green at the bottom so we can have the two ombreing together. Well, that's the intention. So let's just even that through. Excellent. Okay. Right. Moment of truth. Hey, I like it, I like it, I like it. An exchange. I often end up with a mess when I am stenciling. Let's just wipe this down. So I like this is, as I say, it's a big stencil. I've got a few of these word stencils. They came as a pack for seasons and every day, and I could just add the hearts to something if I wanted to. I could add the border. Yeah, they're really very useful. So let's just pop that out of harm's way over there. That can go over there. The stenciling can sit and dry. We can give these a bit more of a blast. Oh dear. Excuse me, ladies, just while I rescue a box of bits that's just going to helter-skelter everywhere if I am not very careful. And then let's do something about making these look vaguely respectable. So I could add a layer of varnish to these, in which case I would probably use the Silky Shine, just because it will add a bit more robustness to this painting before I then add the antiquing gel. But I am conscious that it's 7 o'clock and we've still got a bit to go, and there are some more lives happening. So right, I have got out a new pot of the white antiquing gel. It is my go-to, as we all know. But let's use up this old one first. So we're going to give these a shabby, distressed feel, because that's the look I'm wanting. So let's just take this back. It is a leveler of bad painting. There we are. Just works every time. And it just will give everything the same sort of feel and effect, so they will look as if they've come from one village. There we are. And you can take back as much or as little as you want. I know for some of the ladies who like vintage effects, the brown antiquing gels are probably their most used. I have to say that for me, the white one is definitely my most used. There we are. It just makes such a huge difference. These, you know, I could have used an antique paste to do this, but the water-based antiquing gels have just made it, well, it includes the fact that they're water-based, so they don't have an odor at all. They are soft, they're easy to use, and you think I'm using a lot. These antiquing gels came out through 3 Christmases ago. Yeah, 3 Christmases ago. So almost the first Christmas I was on Pentart's creative team, and that is my first pot that I've got here. So that's always, so although it looks like I'm being very generous with them, actually the reality of life is that, let me just get a clean wipe. There does come a time when you do have to swap to something that is, you can see the state of my hands. So do I, Blanche. I just think that they are a complete game changer. And you and I will both remember when they came out. And I use them over and over and over again. They are just, and they make it easy. So instead of being scared or worried about mold painting now, I just get on with it. And that's the reason I can do so many molds on a live, really, is that I've got, it just levels it all down. There we are. There's some beautiful makes with these molds out coming online, but predominantly Christmas ones. And I just think this is a mold that is year-round usable, as are all of the house molds, to be fair, and therefore I just felt that it had to go in my stash. Do I have the other year's ones? Yeah, I do. And the joy of this one is that, unlike the previous Stamperia molds, which are plastic, this is a silicone mold, so it will last longer and is more suitable for lots of other different mediums. So there we are. Let's just add some of that onto there. Okay, cool. Thank you, Debbie. Right, let's clean down the hands, because if I don't clean down my hands, and even though I thought I was going to need to get my new pot of antiquing gel out, I've still got loads. Good evening, Sophie. Welcome, my darling. Welcome, welcome, welcome. Right, let's get this off, because if I don't, I shall transfer this all to the next bit, and I'm not sure I really want to do that. So let's just give these a quick blast. There are 3 clocks, so we'll tackle the clocks. With a little bit of wax. The rest will be able to dry on their own. There we are. Okie dokie. So let's just grab a little bit gold wax. Let's add that to the clock there. There are 3 clocks. Yep. There's a clock there. And then we've got our clock here, which is why I wasn't overly worried about adding that. Right. Right, let's get that up, at least up the right way. That's up the correct way. So a little touch of wax. I could carry on and add wax to everything else. Good evening, Patricia, my darling. I trust you're well. It's a while since I've seen you online. It's much a pleasure for you to join me. So let's just get rid of that. So let us now just pop these where we want them. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Hey, anyone might have thought I'd have done that intentionally. There we are. So if I'm using, Sheila, if I'm using fine line crackle, my darling, I don't use a wax, okay? Because wax will sit on the surface and then you'll need a solvent cleaner to take it off. So I use a product called Antique Paste when I'm using the fine line crackle, and this comes in several different colours. This one is Umbra, but I've got a dark gold here. So these are Antique Paste, and they will lift off far more easily than a wax will, because they'll lift off with just a damp cloth, whereas a wax will need a little bit more effort. Right, there we are. To do that, okay? Yeah, so from that point of view, if you can't find the Antique Paste, because I know you're in the UK and that might be just ever so such a bit of a struggle, I'm just going to line these up with the bottom of the board. Then get yourself some either Antonis's Vintage Antiquing Paste, but in effect that essentially is just an oil paint. So you can then use any oil paint that you want, and then just lift that off with a wet cloth as you, or a damp baby wipe as you go, my darling, because I am very conscious that it is a struggle to find the products now in the UK. Okay. So let's just pop that there. We need a little gap there because of the turreted roof, and that's just fine. You can always watch back, Sophie, but the reality of life, this is not a complicated project. All I did was paint a piece of wood with Pentart's acrylic paint primer, and then added a layer of vintage blue acrylic paint matte to the top of it. I've then taken these pieces that I'm adding now are all from a single Stamperia mold from their latest release. You might find that it's hard to find at the moment if you go hunting for it, but Stamperia have recommissioned it, and so there should be some more appearing in the shops fairly soon. So nag whoever is your supplier, and hopefully they will then get it back in for you, if that makes sense. There we are. So that one can go there. I'm just going to lift out that the extra bit that I've got there. Okay, so those are reasonably straight on there. Yeah, there's lots of them, but you know, you choose the color that you want. I guess the most universally used one would be the Umbra, but obviously you do, yeah, it depends very much on the project that you're going to do. I think we need a little bit of splatter, and I've got all of the colors in the houses on here, so let's just add a good squidge of water into there, and let's find a couple or three little fan brushes. There we are. So let me just mix that in. And I think we're going to go with the blue. There we are. So there we are, ladies. Here is our completed piece from tonight. This could quite happily say Merry Christmas or Xmas or Noel, and you could have painted those as a Christmas village if that's what you wanted. But I hope you've enjoyed the live this evening. Thank you so much, Annette. Thank you, Catherine, for liking my mate. Thank you, Isabel. So my plans for this week will be to do a Sunday live this week. I'm not gallivanting with friends, learning how to make lampshades. I will post that when I've got it on its base at some point. And then I will be live for Pentart next Tuesday. And if things go to plan, I've got some secret squirrel stuff to share with you. And that is all I'm going to say for now, but I think you'll like it. So ta-ta for now. Keep safe. Remember to be kind to each other, and interact with all of your friends on Facebook as often as you can to let them know that you care for them. Night-night.